for Coach Meyer. We'll start with these two here on the right side, front row.
Coach, just how's the week gone down here for you and the guys? You treated Sunday like a normal Tuesday, I believe. Just kind of how you went through the week and how it's gone.
Sunday's like a Tuesday's, Monday's like a Sunday. Yeah, I lost track. All I know is today is Thursday, and very mature team. And it's unusual to say that when they're as young as they are, but they handled their business, and the Sugar Bowls have been fantastic. And so it's been a great week. I think we're pretty close to game ready.
Second row.
Coach, what are your thoughts just on facing Coach Saban again? I know you guys have a relationship. Obviously, played 3 times and 2 classic games. Just what are your thoughts against going up against him again?
Well, I think just great opportunity. I think our players are, the one thing. Sometimes we'll talk more about coaches than players, and that's not the case in this game. Alabama's recruited and they develop their players very well, so it has full attention of our players, which is most important. But there's a history between Coach Saban and myself, and I made a point to our players, and I hope they say that about us too, that every phase is on point. It's not one of those things where, boy, it's a great offensive machine and very little defense. And it's a little bit probably what people say. I hope we're very well balanced as they are. I think we're one of the top offenses in the country. Certainly they are. We're very good, much better than we have been on defense. We're getting better. And special teams are very good. So those are 2 teams that are pretty well rounded. And that's the first thing you think about when you face an Alabama team.
Left side, front row, Mark.
Coach, we hear a lot about SEC speed and SEC talent level. Your game with Ohio State back in the desert went a long way toward establishing that imprint on the rest of the country. Now you're at Ohio State playing an SEC team. Is there a difference between SEC speed? Is there a difference between SEC level talent, or is that something that we just made up all along?
No, I think there is. I think the gap's closing a little bit. I think when I was a head coach at Bowling Green, I wanted to get I believe speed wins. Obviously, the other intangibles of toughness and character and perseverance and, the time-tested qualities of a good football team, a good football player will never change. However, the game is getting faster. That was, I'd say back in 2001 when I first became a head coach, that was, the days of playing in a box. That's normally not what offensive football gives the defensive trouble. So we wanted to spread the field and try to recruit as much speed as possible. And we did that at Florida. I made a comment of Florida be the fastest team in the country, and it's all. I'm not sure there's a way to measure that, but we were pretty fast. We're doing that here. We're getting faster. Are we SEC speed in at certain positions? We certainly are. But that's all relative. We'll find out. But there's no question speed is maybe a defining point or in the conversation of SEC when you hear the front 7 on defense. I've heard that for years. But there's a lot of truth to that. The front 7 in the SEC now is that our front 7's pretty good too. They're faster than we have been when we first got here, and that's certainly when we go out recruiting. That's the days of having a slow defensive lineman or not linebackers that can't play in space. Those days are gone. So we are getting faster, and that process never ends.
Staying on the left side, third row.
Urban, how well has Cardale handled this
really
week?
Good.
And then how well do you anticipate him handling the moment Thursday night?
Cardale is an interesting character. He's a guy that, 3 years ago was not equipped to handle this kind of situation. A year ago, he wasn't equipped. I started to see a gradual change. Tom Herman has done an excellent job with him. And on spring practice one day, we walked off the field, and I was like, my God, he acts like a quarterback now. He's not acting like a child that's, never been in a big arena. And that's really a credit, but that's we've all gone through it. Some go through it at age 55, some go age at 15, and he has really matured. He's had an excellent week. When I say excellent, he had a beautiful day yesterday, throwing and catching and taking charge, and really proud of him.
Right side, front row.
Urban, you spoke of the changes, the culture change you've been able to bring in football at Ohio State is being credited for what they're doing at Michigan today. How much of a sense of accomplishment do you take in being able to affect not just your school, but it looks like the entire league in the Big Ten is saying we got to do what Coach Meyer's doing at Ohio State?
I don't know. Kind of caught me off guard with that one. I don't really know what's going on at other places. I know that's a very competitive environment right now in all leagues, and this playoff is just a perfect example that I can't imagine the interest level being any greater in any sport than college football. And obviously this is all really I pay attention to. So I think every school, there's a premium placed on getting your school to the playoff. And I'm not sure we had anything to do with that. We got to worry about Ohio State.
Right side, Mark.
Urban, can you talk about just Michigan hiring Harbaugh and what it means to the Big Ten? Just talk about Michigan hiring Jim Harbaugh and what he brings to the Big Ten, just having another caliber coach like that.
Well, I know his brother, and I actually met his father at the Super Bowl, and it's a very good football family. When I became special teams coordinator at Notre Dame years ago, one of the first persons I was in contact with was John Harbaugh, and went and spent some time with him with the Eagles and became a good friend, and we stayed in contact. I don't know Jim, but your question about what's it, anytime you add a quality coach to the Big Ten or college football, I think it's good for college football and great for the Big Ten.
Front row, right.
Yeah, Coach, in the Wisconsin game, it seemed like you guys passed the ball early to set up the run. You had a couple early pass plays and maybe open some things up that way. How important will it be for him to have that kind of a great start so that things will be a little easier perhaps for Elliott?
Very good question, and that's absolutely true. A lot of that was dictated by the style of defense we faced, and we could tell early in the game. The first 10 to 15 plays of every game is a little bit of a chess match because you can usually tell, how they're going to defend you, and that was what happened in the Big Ten championship. I think they were number 2 in America in total defense and rush defense. They were very good. Pass defense are good as well, but we felt like we matched up decent on the outside, and they played a single coverage, and so that's why we did that.
Second row.
Going back to your 3 matchups with Coach Saban, what are the biggest challenges for facing one of his teams you got?
Well, I think what I said earlier, that you always try to, part of the game plan and preparation, expose a weakness, find the weakness and expose it. And that's, it's difficult, whether it be punt rush, whether it be kickoff coverage, and then obviously offense, defense. But there's, I like, once again, comparing it to the Ohio State Buckeyes is where's the weakness? It's pretty salty against the run, pretty salty against the pass, and on offense we're balanced run pass. So that's the biggest challenge, is trying to find that weakness, and that's every coach tries to do that. First, the minute you find out who your opponent is, you come in on Sunday if it's a game week and find out and watch a lot of film, and that's when you hear about coaches watching film. It's not just watching film; you're trying to find that player or that part of their defense or offense that's not very good, and you go after it. And that's, Alabama's the kind of team that's it's hard to find that.
Front row, left side.
Urban, when you reflect back on your playing career, your college football playing career, how do you describe yourself as a player, and what did you take away from that playing experience into your coaching?
Playing experience, well, I was a professional baseball player, which doesn't really help much in this arena. And then I went and played college football and had a very mediocre to below career. So not a lot. I think it started when I became a graduate assistant at Ohio State, worked for Earl Bruce, and got a taste of major college football. And the biggest thing that I've had the experience that not many coaches have. I've worked for incredible mentors. I've worked for Earl Bruce, then Sonny Lubick, and Lou Holtz, and Bob Davie, and they're all tremendous friends. But there's bits and pieces in our program that I've taken from those great leaders, and that's been more important for my career, is who I've been able to work with and for.
Right side, second row, and then we'll come up a row.
Coach, between yourself and Nick Saban, you've won 6 national titles in your career. How would you describe your relationship with Coach Saban over the years?
Good. I can't say we're that close. We've known each other. I'm trying to think. We spent some time together at television. I can't remember what it was. I think a national championship game. Both of us. It might have been the year off I took, and he wasn't in it. And so we spent some time together. Our family's got a wonderful wife, Terry, and her and Shelley get along great. So the one thing that we have done is we've always, whether it be the SEC meetings or just conversations that whether it be the agent-player issue that that you have to deal with, the fact that players, we're both very player-oriented coaches about the welfare of players and the welfare of the game. So that's more our conversations, very professional. But I think there's a lot of mutual respect there.
Front row.
Coach, can you talk about what Ezekiel Elliott has done or given you this season?
Ezekiel is a great player. He's a guy that a highly recruited guy that comes from a wonderful family and just probably as good a work ethic tailback as we've ever had. And he's that's contagious throughout our program. There's a young man named Curtis Samuel that also has developed that same work ethic because he watches Zeke do it every day. But he's a tough, rugged guy that also has the breakaway speed. So he's a extremely valuable member of our team, and he's a great back. Now, I don't know if he's gotten the recognition because of whatever, but he's I think a 1,300-yard rusher, and in the first two games were very, Virginia Tech, we didn't play well, and maybe he didn't get the yards for some reason, but he's a 1,500-yard back, and he's real valuable, and he's better. Tom Herman said, and that's true. He's the best back I've ever seen without the ball, as far as effort down the field, making cuts, making blocks, pass protection. He takes great pride in his being a great player. He also was I kind of backed off special teams a little bit, but he was a very valuable member of our kickoff team and punt team in the past too.
Staying on the front row.
Urban, I think you've got 12 or 13 people who have coached under you now have been head coaches. How much pride do you take in that, and how would you describe your evolution as a head coach yourself and things you try to do?
Well, real proud of them. Still very close with all of them. Dan Mullen, I think, has done a fabulous job at Mississippi State. Coach Strong at Texas. Gary Anderson and Kyle Whittingham, Tim Beckman. You have Dan McCarney at North Texas. You have Doc Holliday, who had a brilliant year at Marshall. So very proud of them. We stay in contact, and I just think it's great that I've never had an offense coordinator stay more than 2 or 3 years, and the fifth one is now a head coach, and Tom Herman's ready to go be a head coach, and last night we had a little toast to him and his wife, and very, very proud. He'll do a great job down there.
Second row, right.
Coach, a couple of things. First of all, Coach Saban was retelling the story about